He was one of the most successful adult film stars in the world, appearing as Rocco Reed in more than 1,000 adult films. But today, he's known as Pastor. Before we speak with him, here is a look at Joshua Broome's story.
I just wanted to matter. I wanted to have value. I started modeling when I was 14 or 15. I dropped out of college and moved to Hollywood. Like pretty much anyone that lives in Hollywood, you are living far beyond your means, and you are trying to accomplish something that is great. I was a waiter at Saddle Ranch Chop House. I'm waiting tables. 4 girls walk in and they very quickly say, "Hey, would you like to, did you ever aspire to be an actor?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." And they're like, no, we're talking about porn. So they invited me to meet with their agent. And when they said agent, like that language kind of broke down the weirdness of it. Like, you'll get all the lead roles. So you'll make all this money. You'll become famous. I hear a counterfeit version of the dream that I actually had. I thought, okay, even if I do it, I'll just do one, no big deal. And I do it. That scene went viral. And within 2 weeks, I'm getting phone calls from my mom that found out, like through the grapevine, that I had done this. I could have sex with anyone, anywhere, because I did not see sex as anything other than the way that I got a paycheck.
Please welcome to the show, Pastor Joshua Broome. Wow. First of all, Joshua, we have something in common. We both worked at Saddle Ranch. That's where I met my husband.
Oh, that's so cool.
It could have went the other way.
Yeah, I rode the bull on the Saddle Ranch. All right.
That's funny. Yeah, I used to operate it. Yeah, so funny.
That's hilarious.
We've got a lot in common.
We sure do. All right, you said you thought you would just do one adult film and then just be done with it. So I just want to know from your perspective why you decided to keep going. Was it purely financial? Was it your pride and ego? What do you think?
Well, I mean, for me, I do that film, and all of a sudden, I was signed with a modeling agency, and I was signed with, an improv agency. So fired. And, I'm humiliated because I'm dating a girl that works at that restaurant. Obviously, I tell her, she finds out. So everything that made sense kind of imploded. And what made sense was to continue doing that.
Go down that road.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah.
You look, man, you were making good money in the porn industry. You even won Performer of the Year in 2012. Congrats. Yeah. Yes, that's something. That's awesome. So what made you quit suddenly?
Yeah, I mean, for me, so I'm sure someone can relate to this. Like, if you have like a high achiever personality, it's like you believe the lie that once I do X, Y, and Z, we were talking about social media earlier where, if you had the relationship, if you had the home, the car, the followers, the blue check mark, whatever it might be, if you have that, you'll be happy. And for me, I believed if I had, once I had crossed that $1 million milestone, I would be happy. Once I, went into the Louvre on a private tour, saw that museum, once I did X, Y, and Z in the Performer of the Year, that was the pinnacle of success, because for me, I needed to be the best to feel good about myself. And when that didn't work and that validation didn't create happiness, I was broken to a point that I really didn't know what to do. And that caused a depression that was so deep that I had no choice but to run.
Wow.
I hear you, Joshua. Let's talk about Joshua today, because your wife brought faith into your life. This is ironic. On the first date, how did she do that?
Yeah, I mean, for most of my life, I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. And when I told her who I actually was, she looked at me and said, well, no one is defined by the worst thing they've ever done, and they're not defined by the greatest thing they'll ever do. And like that, for me, after spending my entire life trying to validate myself through achievement and then allowing myself to be defined because of my mistakes, she looked at me and said, that wasn't true. So that broke down some boundaries for me, and it changed the trajectory of my life.
Wow. Speaking, you said that your wife said, you're not defined by your past, but I have to ask you, because some people they may look at your past, like for instance, being a pastor, has anybody within your congregation ever not accepted you because of learning about your past? And how did you handle that?
Yeah, so my position is pretty unique because even though I do preach at one church consistently, for the most part, I travel and speak all over the world. So does that happen? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely every time that happens. But there's a lot of figures in the Bible that I can point to that had a very sketchy past,
right,
and they found redemption. And just because of what you do or what you did, that doesn't have to define what you do next. And that's my greatest message to anyone, regardless of what your life has looked like before, regardless of, whatever has happened in your life, whether it was a mistake or someone hurt you in a traumatic way, that doesn't have to define the future that you can pursue next.
Wow. It's like, I was thinking of Mary Magdalene and how the Bible's actually quite accepting of that, as Jesus was in the New Testament. You have been...
Yeah, you look at I'm saying, you look at every major historical figure in the Bible, like David, he committed adultery, he committed murder to cover it up. And there's so many other people that are like that, but that doesn't have to define what you do with the rest of your life.
And maybe that's what it's about, the allegory. Yeah. So you've been out of the industry for years, but as I played Madonna back in 2003, those videos will always live on. So have they ever come back to haunt you? Because it's permanent, it's out there.
Yeah, I preached this past weekend, and it's pretty common for me to walk into the office and, there's cards or messages and stuff on the answer machine or emails, and most of them are good, but there's always, a few antagonistic or just really hurtful or mean things that are sent to me. So, yesterday I preached, and, right before I stepped on the stage, not really thinking, I opened up a card. It's something pretty malicious. So, yeah, absolutely, it happens. But at the end of the day, great advice to anyone. You can either choose to let your past own you, or you can choose to own it. And because I choose to own my past, like hanging out and talking with you guys about my story, it doesn't have power over me because I proclaim it, because that's not who I used to be is not who I am today.
Beautifully said. And I can only imagine how many people relate to that. So Joshua, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. To keep up with everything that he is doing, check out his website, joshuabroome.me, or follow him on Instagram. We'll be right back. Thank you, Joshua.
Thanks, Josh. You're awesome, man.
Thank you so much. See you guys.